I'm gonna beat you into the living death.
Welcome back to Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts, the show where I yell about mixed martial arts. UFC 301 was at least a somewhat interesting presentation for the 12 people that showed up for it in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The event proved that Steve Erceg is a legitimate threat in the flyweight division, the Brazilian fighting nerds are a team surging towards greatness, and that even 40 years into her career, Madonna can still crush anything that dares to be scheduled on the same day as her, as apparently 1.5 million Brazilians decided to go watch her perform, as opposed to watching people kick and punch each other. Every competitor on the card was seeing red, not because of some fiery passion for fighting, but because inside the Farmácia arena, that's what color the seats are. Regardless of attendance, there were a few elements of noteworthiness at 301. Those fighting nerds I mentioned were 2 for 2 on the evening with a TKO for Mauricio Rufy and a somewhat effortless looking knockout for Caio Bahaio over Paul Craig, My Jewish Heart Weeps. The nerds might have been 3 for 3 if Gene Silva's fight hadn't been cancelled due to his opponent William Gomis overcutting his weight and having to hobble his way to and from the scale. Turns out weight cutting, not the time to become an overachiever. 301 also saw a nice win for the Cro-Magnon man Mirtabek Orlabai, a fantastic return performance for the GOAT Jose Aldo, and a first-round guillotine submission for Anthony Smith, which fucked up every parlay on the planet. Jack Shore's fight versus Joe Anderson Brito had a horribly odd, horribly horrible doctor stoppage due to a leg cut, which was one of several horrible looks for the Brazilian Commission. A stoppage due to a leg cut is rare enough to begin with, but even if it's something that I may have seen before, I don't think I've ever seen a doctor who enjoyed fingering a wound as much as this one did. Jack Shore getting his leg digitally penetrated, definitely not on my UFC 301 bingo card. Aside from Steve Erceg coming up short in his attempt to jump from a 10th place ranking to champion in the main event against Alexandre Pantoja, the real spectacle of the evening was flippy shit specialist Michel Pereira, who pulled said flippy shit on Ihor Potieria in the middle of a sequence that started with a knockdown and ended with a standing guillotine submission. As impressive as the backflip knee was, it was most certainly an illegal blow to a downed opponent, which should have led to a stop in the action and a positional change, yet none of that happened, and the Brazilian Mixed Martial Arts Confederation ruled it, quote, legal enough in the words of John Anik, granting Pereira the win, and proving that no matter what country you're fighting in, the commission basically makes up the rules as they go, and enforces them in a similarly lackadaisical fashion. Muito obrigado, pessoas muito inteligentes. Speaking of selective rule enforcement, poor Diego Lopez had his fight purse withheld for jumping over the cage at UFC 300 because suddenly the Nevada State Athletic Commission decided to care about such a thing. The UFC would end up covering the fine, which was a stand-up move by the organization. However, with this action, a stern warning has been sent to every fighter on the roster. Only break the rules if you're a big enough star to get away with it, because Big Brother is watching sometimes and will drop the gavel on you if they can actually be bothered to do their fucking job. Roll the dice to talk to Mark Zuckerberg at your own risk, because it might prove to be one very costly conversation with one very boring BJJ blue belt. Also recently, the combat sports world was sent into a gawking frenzy when the MMA guru decided to play a round of Spot the Gay with everyone's favorite villain Jon Jones. The 40-minute video released by the guru saw him watching a number of Jones clips, yelling he's gay a bunch of times, and that's about it. While a drunken Jon Jones talking about fingering booty holes is a bit sus, I think the most eyebrow-raising thing about that particular clip is the fact that he actually paid money to see Deaf Noodles perform stand-up. Jon Jones would respond by calling the MMA guru a neck-bearded loser, so if Jones is in fact gay, then in the end, they're both correct. In other borderline gay news, Dillon Danis has somehow slithered his way back into the MMA headlines after a minor Twitter spat with the softcore porn queen of OnlyFans, Paige VanZant. This came as a shock to me, as I'd imagine an unexpected pegging would be to any man. Yes, the spat in question between the two started with an alleged encounter of the sexual variety between Danis and VanZant, and ended with the revelation that Dillon Danis has apparently gone full Hank Hill the way he be wantin' that peg. If you don't know what pegging is, head over to Pornhub and prepare to be either really turned off or discover something you may not have known about yourself. To break it down into more clear terms, the war of words began when Paige claimed that Dillon wasn't a real fighter during an interview to promote an upcoming boxing match. Danis insinuated that there was an encounter between the two that would, quote, ruin Paige's marriage, leading Paige to post a video claiming that the only time she had ever met Danis was at the UFC Athletes Retreat some years ago, where Dillon apparently asked Paige to peg him. This led Danis to respond with some very strong language towards the quality of Paige's body parts and her husband's alleged enjoyment of cuckoldry. In the process of all of it, he also confirmed that he did indeed ask to be pegged, and that's where we are today.
You's a freaky ass nigga!
Danis claims to have some sort of receipts regarding the alleged affair between them, but has yet to produce anything and probably won't. But at this point in the story, who cares? Because that part has taken a back seat to what Dillon enjoys in his back seat. Good lord, Paige VanZant and Dillon Danis, two bums clashing with each other over nothing. It's 2002 all over again. That's about all the news I can stomach for this week, so subscribe to the channel, you dope. And for yelling about mixed martial arts, this is Thinker St. James reminding you that if you care this much about MMA, your sexuality may also be in question. P.S. I saw that clip of Dana getting ribbed at the Tom Brady roast. Kudos to Andrew Schultz for making Dana White have to sit and smile his way through some decent jokes about fighter pay. I just wish he had asked Dana how cold that igloo he shares with Brendan Schaub is. If you know, you know. Maybe that'll come up if Dana gets his own roast, but I doubt even Schultz has balls that big. As a thank you to everyone who sent that clip over to me, I return the favor with this clip of Tito Ortiz tossing a microphone into his 10-gallon head.
I'm thankful for Shoshone Bangkok Casino for having us here. It's going to only get better, bigger, and better. So thank you guys so much.
Paige VanZant.